Greetings, Patrick here. I have Cheetah Will View, and we are here for another film review. Today's movie that we'll be talking about is 2025's Sanguine Teeth on a Driftless Road. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Um, yeah, this is the latest and greatest from filmmaker Austin Galante, who is rapidly rising and making a name for himself. Um, this is his second film, and his films are being noted for the powerful dialogue and screenwriting. It's really strong. Um, that's the one thing I've noticed right off the bat with Austin is we saw that in his first film that he did, the last film that we covered, Sweet Killing Machines. Um, his writing is just outstanding. Uh, it's the closest. It's to me. It's like to me. And I mean this. If Tarantino actually took the time to write a real script, something really meaningful, this is what it would come out as instead of just seeing how many curse words and slurs he could throw in every movie that he makes. This is a very well made, very interesting movie. Um, it was described as art house horror. I don't know if I would call this a horror movie though, even though it is the basis of the film is four vampires on a road trip. They're just driving around, and we meet various people along the way. Some get picked up. There are a couple of scenes in there where we do see that they are vampires, but this, as far as a horror film goes, I guess this would be a horror film if it was for real vampires just talking about the state of the world. But it's really really fun, really fun. I was a little worried when I first got this, when I got the screener. The time was 2 hours and 14 minutes, and that's a long time for an independent film. Most horror films are between 90 to 100 minutes long. So I was a little concerned, but I needn't be because this movie absolutely flies. It is so much fun. It's funny, it's witty, and it goes by quick. And, and there's a lot of smart observations that are coming out of here. Um, and it's really helped out by the cast of the film. The cast of the film is just absolutely, it's just, it's great. Led by Matthew Kenner as Damascus. Um, Man, Matthew Kenner is going to be an up and comer. He has to be. He was absolutely brilliant in this film, it causes, when you get a really strong performance, and he plays the head vampire, Damascus. When you get a performer like this, and especially in a movie like Sanguine is just basically a dialogue heavy film, you gotta have a charismatic lead actor to carry the dialogue along. Otherwise, it can really sneak really quick and starts dragging. Um, but Matthew is up to the challenge, more than up to the challenge, and he and his merry crew of merrymakers, which includes Charlie Mack, Jason Rouse, Austin himself, who plays a vampire hunter, which is he's a hoot in that role. Um, we have we also talked with we have to mention Tiffany Sago, uh, and Monty Kane. They're the main four vampires, and Tiffany plays Sandy. She's going to be she's a familiar, and she wants to be turned, and so she hangs out with them for a while as well. And they just drive around and they just talk about what's going on in the state of the world. When did each one of them become a vampire? What do they like or dislike about being it? Um, you know, uh, Even a little bit of drama where one vampire picks up their version of of HIV, which was interesting. You know, because no one really thinks about vampires. Like they get sick all right, but what do they get sick with? Well, if you're a vampire, you got to watch out not to get vamps. Um, I thought for a low budget film, and they kept it to and Austin kept it to has some friends to help out. Most of the movie is in a RV, and they do go around visiting various places, like a small cabin. They're going to a cabin in the woods to sit back and chill out and just talk. They are being hunted by a vampire hunter, which I mentioned was played by Austin. And the scene where he picks up his weapons is just had me rolling. It just had me rolling. Just that was a real fun part. Of course, they talk about the various myths and about vampires. Like here, all four of them here are walking and talking in daylight. So the sun doesn't affect vampires as we know it. Um, Holy water doesn't do it either. The only thing that can kill them basically is a wooden spike. It's that's it. Um, and which I always question that too. It's like why how is it a wooden cross? How does that affect a vampire? Well, if you ever want to know how wood kills a vampire, this is the movie that you want to see because they break it down. How a vampire dies, what can kill him, and how he dies. Most of the time, this is all about killing him, and they don't understand how they are able to do this. Well, thanks to Austin and his pen, and Matthew and his delivery, we find out. So if you ever see a vampire, hopefully you've already seen Sanguine, so you know how to handle it. Um, it's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot of fun here. It's a warm movie from top to beginning. From beginning to the end. There are, like I said, there are a couple of scenes that are, I guess you could consider horror, but they're played for laughs. When they have an encounter with a sheriff, that turned out to be just it's so much, it's so funny that you really didn't even notice the vampire aspect of the scene until after it's like you're too busy laughing, uh, and and I think this is a smart play. It was even all the way from top to the end. It was really, there wasn't any sudden dramatic bumps or sudden gore or some sort of there just wasn't, and I think that played it smart. And because it keeps the rhythm even flow. It's a comedy, and and it should be played straight from top to bottom, without having any force upon like inner fighting or suddenly you know you know two of them die, or something, or they meet other vampires. You know how it is. For some horror movies, they have to force bumps into the script. Luckily for us, Sanguine doesn't do that. It just has a story to tell, and four really strong performers, and it does it wonderfully. Um, but again, the writing is what's really going to captivate you more than anything else. Austin Galante can write his ass off. He's already made his mark as far as that goes. I really am really, after this movie's over, he's already starting to start the third one. I cannot wait for it. I can't wait. He's terrifically talented, and this is a very cool movie. Now, it's going to come out on streaming. We don't know. We don't know if it's going to be able to come out on physical release. We're hoping, as far as us horror fans, if you're a horror fan, you definitely want, hopefully, get a hard copy of this. Hopefully, a distributor will pick this up and make a physical release. I would be totally bummed if this isn't the only way this movie is seen, is to just do streaming, because I have a spot on my shelf for it. I have a spot on my shelf that I want to put this movie into. I don't want to just see it streaming. All right. Yeah, so shout out to for Sanguine, Sanguine Teeth on the Driftless Road. Um, Instant classic in my opinion, instant classic, and highly recommend watching this one. It's definitely one of the best of the year, as far as I'm concerned. All right, well that is it for me and the Cheetah for this round. Thank you for watching. Hopefully, we'll be able to get this out sooner than later. As far as Austin goes, getting this movie out, so we can go ahead and we'll put a link down below to Austin's Instagram, and you can keep in contact with him there. We also just did an interview with him, so I'll put the link to that in here too. Hopefully, when it gets released on a much wider scale or available on streaming, you guys go check it out and give it a support. All right, that's it for us. Thanks for watching, and if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the sub button. We really appreciate that. And drop a comment down below. Tell us about your favorite comedic vampire movies, vampires with some humor to it. Yeah, that's it. Talk to you soon. Peace.